Yo, what's poppin'? All my peeps, it is I, your host with the most Renaissance man who always thinks he can, and your champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back once again in the yard streams for another edition of the Raw Rewind presented to you by Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show, where we take no nights out off. Yeah. Um, and yeah, it's not just me, Patty P, here in the Yard of Streams. I'm joined as always by the best of the West. You can't forget about Sarah Marshall. Was popping, girl.
Hey yo.
Hello.
Was popping.
Hello. Are
How
you
we
drinking
doing?
an alcoholic beverage?
Oh, it's so funny you say that, Sarah, because I am not.
Oh, okay.
This is Liquid Death, which, fun fact, is just water in a can.
Okay.
I would love them to sponsor me one day because I don't know what it is about drinking water out of a can, but it just, when it's cold, it tastes so much more crisp.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand. I don't have the words to describe why.
All I
But it
drink
just
is
tastes better.
water. So,
But and also it has that they sell it at a lot of bars too, and with this whole new wave of people like going out or if they're doing other sorts of fun drugs, you have water in a can, makes it look like you're part of it, like a psychological thing, so you're included without being included, like stuff like that. Because I have a few friends that don't drink, so yeah, you gotta keep everyone included, per usual. But yeah, this is actually good shit. So I would love them to sponsor me one day. Sponsor us.
alrighty.
Imagine we got the Raw Rewind presented to you by Liquid Death. Murder your thirst.
Sure.
Look at that ad read. They should be watching. But Sarah, as I sit in the draft room for the Stadium Rant Madden League, I want to talk wrestling with you. All right, it's been a long time. And get this, I watched Smack or Raw. I mean, in and out like 4 times because I fell asleep every time. And but not because the product, but my own just being tired.
Yeah.
Because then when I would wake up, I watched Sheamus Braun Breaker, and that match, how it was one of the better ones of the show. But then you fall asleep because it's the low part, whatever. And then the main event was really good too. And I have a lot to say about it because of how it ended. Not so much the result of how it ended, but where they cut off the broadcast. That plays a key part, especially with what we saw last week with some spoilers. So I do want to bring that up when we get talking about it. But Sarah, it's not time to talk about that. It's time to hear from the peeps in the chat. Michael, thanks for the upload. You know what? That's what we do. We keep uploading videos for your entertainment. Vinny, Ayo, Sophia, I can't wait to meet Matt. I probably have already met him already. The bad guy.
Oh.
Sup?
Hello.
Sup?
Did we swap out the final boss for the bad guy? Because that's fine.
I don't know
That's
who
fine with
this
me.
is, but I do like it.
I'm fine with
Lenise,
it.
hello.
Hello.
David,
Hello.
per usual, love that. The bad guy loves the Gunther figure too. So maybe you guys have to take it and you should talk outside of it. Ashton,
Hey,
Luck,
Ashton.
Dickie, sup. Raw was solid. I have to say, even though my own exhaustion made me fall asleep, it was not because of the show. I really did enjoy the show.
Oh, I forgot. I'm also wearing Scott on my foot.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's the bad guy. What's up, Bernard? I'm still, dude, the Madden League, I've been playing in this thing for the past 3 years with every game we've done. And I am just getting used to all the rules. Like, I'm finally understanding it to the point where I can be competitive. So it's going to take a bit, but I want to play you. Oh, I think you're the Seahawks, so we're in the same division. because I'm the Niners. So I don't know who you chose for your legend though, Bernard. I'd like to know. And then yes,
Yep.
JATS sucks.
Shout out to Daddy Rogers, okay?
Oh my god, yes.
Because
This motherfucker.
I said in May, I wrote an article about Aaron Rodgers stating that the Jets were one of the top 2 teams to go to the Super Bowl. I said he was delusional in May. It's now November and they're eliminated from the playoffs. But his dad did not take that too kindly in May and sought me out on Instagram to send me some hate. And I just want to say shout out to you, Daddy. Dr. Aaron Rodgers' dad.
I love how Aaron Rodgers' dad's in your DM hooting and hollering.
This is the same dude that Rodgers didn't check on when California was having wildfires and his parents was in the middle of it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, dude. Like, I don't think Rodgers cares about his family, from what I've heard, with his brother being on The Bachelor, or was it The Bachelorette? Excuse me.
The Bachelorette, yeah.
He was on The Bachelorette, yeah, and you wanted nothing to do.
Yeah, well, now it's like, look who was right. It was me.
You're usually right about some things, Sarah. I kind of I don't want to call you a witch because it seems not the PC 2024 thing to say. But when have I ever been the person for PC
I was born
shit?
the day before Halloween, so I feel like it fits. You know,
you're in that radar, yeah, because the next day was your party. I would get that. Okay, I'm in. And Ashton says, "Cook Daddy Rogers."
Yeah, he knows.
We're gonna try.
He knows. He remembers.
We're gonna try.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to cook his ass. Sean Alexander, Bernard, not bad, but there are better options there.
Sean Alexander was a really good player before he got injured.
Very good.
That injury effed him up and basically ruined his career.
Oh yeah.
But he was incredible before that.
Cover of Madden. One of the more forgotten Madden cover athletes.
It's sad. It really is, though. Like, what did he do? Tear his ACL or something? There was something. It was a weird injury.
I do the leg.
It was something.
A leg thing.
It basically just ruined his career because he could not bounce back. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm so excited for the Madden League. This draft is going to take forever, though.
Yeah. Basically, this is what we were talking about before we went live.
It's about so funny.
The Cody and Roman and whatever not going to Raw, and I was getting hated on so bad yesterday, and then look who was proven right. Literally hours later, me. But anyway, okay. Do you want to just get into it?
Let's hop right into it.
Okay, so we kind of talked about it a little bit last week because we saw spoilers, but for those of you who were not there, who chose not to listen, or now that we've all seen it unfold, we can talk about it now. So a lot was happening in this segment. Obviously, the end is now what we know will be the Women's War Games match. We can talk about that. But before that, Rhea Ripley returned, which we can talk about that too. And this was something that I've seen already being talked about even on Busted Open, and Dave LaGreca is on my side, okay, where he thinks that the Women's War Games match and how this was built up was just not good, and like how it was kind of rushed. Like, I'm not speaking for him specifically. I'm just saying, like, he was reiterating some of these same points that I talked about. That it does just kind of feel like a jumbled mess. Like, even if people are excited about the end result, because now we know it will be Team Rhea versus Team Liv, how we got to this point didn't feel like that's what we wanted. Do you feel that way? Because I know that last week you kind of were like you were kind of okay with it, but not. So like, now that you've seen it actually unfold instead of just reading about it or seeing pictures, like, how do you feel? Do you agree that it kind of felt weird?
After watching it, I realized we're a lot closer to War Games than I thought previously.
Okay, so that plays a huge factor in this. I think that's why I feel that way. Because we're what, 10 days out?
Yeah, we are a lot closer. And It actually, I mean, it has to do with me believing Thanksgiving was coming a lot quicker than it is. You know, it's all about that because we get lost in the bloodline war
Mm-hmm.
games match, and because of how long it's been building, you know, with the women's one, it has felt thrown together
Mm-hmm.
when it really hasn't. It hasn't been completely thrown together. I mean, there's some connecting links there, and you know, there are different feuds going along with it that make it make sense for the women's war game match. However, it does feel thrown together because of the participants in it.
Yeah, I think that's the main problem that I have. It's like it's not that there's a disconnect between like why this person's on this team and it's because they want to go against this person on the other team. It's more of like Rhea has no connection to the girls on her team at all. You know what I
No,
mean? That
exactly.
that's the problem that I have. And like even Liv, it's a little bit weird too, because outside of Raquel, it's like, okay, like, you know, these other girls, like, sure. I think that's the problem, is that the it doesn't make a lot of sense with who's on the teams, like, and
Hmm.
who they chose to align themselves with, that there's no real connection between all of them, other than, yeah, it makes sense for these girls to be on this side because they're feuding with these girls on the other team, you know. So I feel like that could have been done better, but I think it's also hard because when you look at the men, it's been the bloodline versus somebody, like another group, you know? And so
Hmm.
you see the connectivity with the bloodline. So you kind of expect, or at least in my mind, you expect that the teams that are going to be involved in war games make sense, you know? Especially since we're not doing the typical way that they would do Survivor Series of like Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. It's like
Yeah,
there
they've
didn't
got
need
away
to
from that.
be any sort of connection between them other than being on the same brand, you know. So like that would be fine if you saw 5 random dudes on the same team. It's like, yeah, well, they're on SmackDown or they're on Raw. But this, I think, with the women, it's just, yeah, okay, we get it. You wanted it to be Team Liv and Team Rhea, but the people that they have on their team, just, it's like, okay. Not to mention Team Rhea, could you have packed that shit anymore?
That is the Avengers of the women's
It,
division, hands down. It's not even
yeah.
close.
I mean,
It is the
we're
Avengers.
potentially lucky that like Charlotte and Becky aren't around, because they'd probably be on that team too. You know what I mean? Like,
It would
if you
be
could
like
swap out some girls and put them on there, it was like, that's just not fair. That's not fair.
it's
Um,
not, especially like. But I will say in this match too, going on the other side of the coin, everyone's given Candice LeRae a lot of shit for being the odd one out of this match, and it really speaks volume to how little they do know. You can tell what kind of wrestling fan is tweeting out this hate on Candice LeRae,
yeah.
because Candice LeRae is one of the few in this match who has had experience in war games. And not
Hmm.
only that, she's balled on the indies in hardcore matches with the likes of the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, she's not the odd one out. She's probably the dark horse to have a moment that's going to, you know, have
Hmm.
you on the edge of your seat or even out of your seat. And you're going to be like, wow, her? Really? It's like, yeah, her. Okay.
I kind of see this being like her coming out party on the main roster,
Mm,
simply
mm,
because we've said this a million times, but the
millions.
fans from NXT do not all translate over to the main roster.
They don't.
And even though there is we're in a weird era, because we've talked about this also, that wrestling fans are very smart. So, you know, when a
Very
Nick
smart.
Aldis comes in, it's not like the majority of people have no idea who he is, you know, because like he was just on Chris Van Vliet, and he was
Yep.
talking about how it was just the anniversary match of him in a 2 out of 3
Cody
falls
all
match
in.
against Cody Rhodes. And this was
Yeah.
like a light bulb went off in people's heads, because they didn't know that he was a wrestler before he became the general manager on SmackDown. There's not, I would say the majority of people don't have that line of thinking. People knew who Nick Aldis was when he was signed, when he debuted on the show. Like, you know
Everyone
what I mean?
knew who he was.
So when we're talking about Candice LeRae, I don't believe the majority of people are unfamiliar with what she did in NXT or what she did before that. But we're also not in that Smark era anymore that was like in the 2010s, 2010s, whatever, where it was like, if you didn't know the extent of this person's history before they got into WWE, you were such a loser. Like, we're not in that era. So we're like kind of in between it. So I think that this is going to be that moment for Candice, kind of similar to, I forget who it was last year that was in the women's War Games match that we were like, yeah, this is going to be their like coming out match. I can't remember who it was, but we can also talk about it with like Tiffany Stratton versus Becky Lynch in NXT. No one thought that she should be in any sort of extreme match, Tiffany specifically, and look at what she became. That was like the launching pad for her to be on this path that she's been on. So, but you know what else? Before we move on, did you notice that the poster for this match has Naomi and not Kairi Sane, but they're saying Kairi Sane is in the match?
Do you think Naomi's gonna get taken? That's my only. Like, I don't think they would have screwed this up that bad.
But that's why
I'm going that route.
I think they're gonna boot Kairi out and put Naomi in. That's my thing.
But they've been teasing.
Why is Naomi on the poster? That doesn't seem like an accident. I don't know. It's very odd. I didn't even notice it because I just was like, oh, I know who's on these teams. Like, I didn't sit there and actually like, you know, look at the poster and whatever and be like, oh, wait. It took me until someone pointed out that it was Naomi, even though the tweet WWE sent out says Kairi Sane. Very odd. Something to pay attention to.
Yeah, no, pay attention to it. I'm not going to give full thoughts, but I'm interested. Let's pay attention to that. Because that, and see, now my mind goes, are they going to do something where Naomi gets taken out beforehand? Because we have at least a week or two. We have a couple tapings before War Games.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be time for something, and maybe I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. This is why I love wrestling, because mistakes like this could be.
Did you listen, Kervin? I literally said what the problem was. I said that
Kervin,
the wrong person is on there. That's all. There's nothing special about it. I'm just saying the wrong person is on it.
But just pay attention to it.
That's all I'm saying.
Saying.
I still want to talk about one thing. Also, I appreciate this, but this is pissing me off. Not you, Vinny. I mean, yeah, you're not making me mad, but it was really making me mad. The amount of people referring to Rhea as dashing Rhea, that was the undashing era of Cody Rhodes, not the dashing era. That's all I have to say. Cody Rhodes broke his nose. Mr. Rey Mysterio broke his nose on a 619. That is why he had to wear the mask, and he was undashing.
Know your facts, people. Yes, what are we doing here?
God. Yes, no, it was his undashing era. He started wearing the mask because he was so ugly that he had to wear the mask.
I did love when Rhea was announced as she comes down, and she has a microphone. I'm like, what the hell is she gonna say? Like, we reached the climax here. What the hell does she have to add? And screaming War Games into the headbutt was the perfect end to this segment. Like, the perfect.
I hope JC appreciates this because she does not understand.
I did see that.
What I would do to have that mask. Okay.
Is it TV 14? Is it PG? TVMA? I don't know.
Calm down. I will tell you guys, in case you don't know, I was at a show. I was at a SmackDown in, I don't know, 2011, 2012, begging to be paper bagged because I was front row at SmackDown. Undashing Cody Rhodes came out and his people were handing out paper bags for all of us ugly people. I did get one. I did wear it briefly, and I did get it signed by Cody Rhodes. It was 2011. Yeah, he dated it. So yeah, that's framed. because I was ugly enough to get one. So, but anyway, speaking of War Games, I want to talk about this because this was something I kind of wanted to talk about last week, but we didn't because we didn't want to spoil too much. But I think it is a fair question, even if you are a Rhea Ripley fan. I think that you need to be self-aware enough to be able to have these conversations. And I feel that Rhea Ripley returned a little too soon. I get that there was probably plans in place months ago, maybe even just weeks ago, that they were going to do a Team Rhea versus Team Liv at War Games. And so it's kind of hard to figure out what to do if that isn't an option anymore, because Rhea did have, a broken oracle bone or whatever. And that was why they kind of wrote her off TV, with Liv and Raquel attacking her in the infamous NXT parking lot. But my issue is that angle was so good with Raquel and Liv in the parking lot. And it was the perfect timing. They did such a good job about making it look so brutal. And then, of course, Rhea following it up with the X-ray online and just the stuff that she's been saying. I loved it. And I was like, okay, the injury is unfortunate, so I'm not excited about that. But it was like, okay, the way they're going about this is a good thing, because I felt like Liv and Raquel both needed a boost of looking tough and bad and they can't just be walked all over by Rhea, because that's very much what it's been looking like over the past however many months, especially for Liv, where it's like she's terrified of Rhea. Rhea's just kicking her ass every single week. And the only way that she can beat Rhea is with the help of Dominic or somebody from Judgment Day. So it really kind of bums me out that she's back already, because it feels like it didn't sell how intense that ambush was. You know what I mean? I feel like maybe they thought that she was going to be out for a long time, and that is what the initial rumors were. So they were like, all right, let's go as big as possible and make this look as brutal as possible. And then they found out, oh, actually, no, she can come back if she just wears a mask and whatever. So I'm not faulting them for that, but I'm just a little bit bummed because I feel like this could have gone on a little bit longer with her being gone. And then the way that they put her team together makes it look like Liv's team has no chance at War Games. And so I feels like we're just going backwards in this feud again.
Yeah, it does feel. I had the same thought initially, but then I remember Bryan Danielson wrestled with a fractured orbital bone, and he came back a lot sooner than people realized. So I can see why she's not just taking the time, and she can come back with the mask. And it's just it's
I think it's just
why.
the timing.
Timing is a bitch.
And I think the problem goes hand in hand with what we were just talking about, where the women's War Games match felt very rushed and randomly put together. And I think part of that, of course, is just probably what was going to happen in general, but maybe it's because they didn't know about Rhea's timetable. And so then they were like, okay, the things that we were going to do, now we have to speed it up because Rhea's able to come back now, but she's already missed 3 weeks. And maybe they were planning on doing some of it during that time. But I feel like there is a way that they could have tried to pivot for War Games, because we've been talking about, and plenty of people have talked about how Liv needed to move on from her feud with Rhea. And so maybe it could have been a Team Liv versus whoever her newest opponent was going to be, which was Io. So it was like, okay, well, if they could have done Team Io versus Team Liv, and I think people would still be into it because of who the participants would be. That's mainly why people are even excited about what this women's War Games match is going to be anyway. It's not really about it being Team Liv versus Team Rhea.
No, Rhea's kind of out of the picture because Io was pushed after the win and whatnot. So
and people aren't thrilled with what Liv is doing right now. So it's like the people aren't super
shame
invested.
on them.
I know,
shame
but
on them.
They're not super excited about that. So it's like I don't think it would have been that big of an issue if they pivoted.
No, because they would have done Io. In my eyes, Io is the queen of the War Games match. She's been in 6 of them.
Well,
so
and then
to just put her in, you could have done something with her and Damage Control. Like Dakota Kai could have been another one.
Yes, that's another thing.
Might have been a little too early for her to come back for that, but like, who cares? She's fought through a lot. Like, did you not see the promo vignette that she just had? Like, that's the whole point. And I don't know.
What's also crazy about Team Rhea is the fact that Damage Control is on the same team with Bianca Belair, and we're just supposed to act like that's okay.
That's fine. Well, that's not the only weird. Like, that's just what War Games brings. Like, just
I know, but you know what I'm saying?
Teaming and
it's fucking weird. It's weird. Bianca was tortured and tormented forever by Damage Control.
She hates Bailey still because of it.
I know, but she's not going to be cool with Io either. Io was there from the beginning.
But didn't she call? She's the one who made the call to Io. Or like when she's like, "Oh, I got
called Kyrie." Io called Kyrie too. So,
no, but initially, yeah, but no. I'm saying for the War Games,
Bailey,
like when they said I had a I'm saying even now, like when like, oh, we had to call backup, and then they called Io.
This is the problem that I have, though, is like we appreciate that Triple H hadn't been doing this kind of stuff, like the short-term memory stuff, and then when it does happen, I hate it. You know?
I do hate it for the bad reasons, because it's pretty.
Oh, we have big WWE queen. What's going on?
What's up, girl?
I'm just trying to look. There's a ton of comments.
Love it.
I'm just trying to look. Some big WWE girl is saying something about Cody Rhodes being an imposter. What?
An imposter to who?
Is it because of the trademark issue? Is that what we're talking about? The American Nightmare thing? Because that musician that's like suing him over the trademark.
What?
Yeah, there's a musician or a band that they're called American Nightmare, and they're like suing Cody because they're saying he broke their trademark agreement.
No, fuck off. He's part of WWE. They're gonna get paid, and then it's gonna go away.
Yeah.
So do we not know how these things work? Speaking of work, where's your internet? Oh, there you are.
Oh, I'm here.
Yeah, you're here now.
Okay, let's hope I stay here because that's gonna annoy me.
Let's hope.
Yeah, let's not do it in the middle of my interview again. Because I did an interview with a former Patriot yesterday, guys, and my internet went out as I was asking him a question. So that's real cute. Anyway, Richard agrees with you that Dakota shouldn't have been in this match. Not yet. But it looks like they're going to try to push her, which that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Give her a push.
Also, this is a fair argument, and I saw a lot of people saying this during the Tyson Jake Paul fight. The one thing that I think people are forgetting about is how many more people are going to be tuning into a boxing match than they will be on Raw every single week. So I don't know that it's necessarily going to be an issue for WWE. The only thing that I would be concerned about is that I believe when Raw is live, it's live for everybody who has Netflix. So like, you don't have to wait after, if you live in California, you don't have to wait until 8 p.m. to watch it. You can watch it at 5. So that does mean that like, if everybody in the world can watch it at the same time, I am a little concerned about that, because then that obviously is a way bigger volume of people trying to watch it at the same time, which you would think would do similar numbers as something like this. But yeah. Anyway, Netflix is being sued for that. Yeah, they're gonna have to, because bigger businesses, like the NFL and WWE, are not gonna put up with that at all. Especially with WWE just signing over their rights to their flagship show. No,
not gonna do it. Not gonna happen.
So, speaking of me, maybe it's right here.
Oh yeah.
They're teasing again a future feud between Gunther and the bandwagon express that everyone is jumping on right now, which is Ludwig Kaiser. Welcome aboard. I've said this a million times because everybody's like, oh my god, this guy's a star. It's like, where have you been? Were you under a rock with Patrick Starr? Because that's the only thing. So this tension that they've been teasing over the past couple of weeks, we saw it again this week, and it's not looking good between Mr. Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser, and a lot of people are looking forward to what appears to be the inevitable eventual match between these two. And so obviously I am a gigantic Gunther fan. Imperium is up there with some of my top, groups, whatever. Obviously, we also have my poor man's right here.
Get him out of here.
No.
Get that face. That
I need to get Kaiser too, but he was so expensive. That's why I didn't get him.
Because he's on the up and up.
So I love Imperium. I love them individually, and I think Kaiser is a star in the making. I think he could definitely be a top guy at some point. But I really hope that this is just teasing of tension and it's not going to be something that actually happens, because I don't think that they need to have Kaiser be Gunther's sidekick forever. I think that they can be allies and still doing their own thing. You know what I mean? And like, if they needed to do a tag match or something, like, yeah, they would team up. I don't think that every group that wants to, individually want to go and do their own thing, I don't think that they need to disband. Like, we've seen the success of like the New Day, for instance. Like, they went off and were doing their own thing, and they each supported each other when they were going after WWE championships or whatever singles title. So I don't think that that needs to happen with Kaiser and Gunther. And I would like to believe that this is more of what I would really love, honestly, is if this is reverse psychology from Gunther on Kaiser, right? Because every time he has in the past wanted to get Kaiser or even Vinci worked up, he talked shit to them and told them about how they suck and how they're not doing this or they're underperforming. And then what happened? You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be surprised about that. I also wouldn't be surprised if this is a tactic leading up to Gunther's match with Damian Priest to make it seem like there's tension between them and that it's not real, as they've done before. But what do you think?
I can see this happening down the line. Obviously, I just don't think it's going to be as soon as people think. Like I see Gunther coaching Kaiser to become a champion because they're not on the same level yet. So he's going to guide him until they get there, and then we're going to see them square off for the eventual world heavyweight or WWE championship, whatever that show has. I want to see Gunther coach Kaiser. Like, I want to see Gunther step away in a sense, because what we've seen already. I want to see him take on this new role, because this would be different from what he's been doing as the ring general and just kicker of asses. It would be nice to see him on the side of doing that, also be coaching him up.
And we also have to remember that the whole point basically of Imperium was that Gunther was basically training them. You know what I mean? To like, he saw the potential in them and could see that they could be like top tier level dudes, and because they shared the same passion for wrestling and they respected the sport in the same way. Yes. So it would make sense for Gunther to want to do that for Kaiser, not to mention the character of Gunther. Don't you think that he would get some sort of ego boost from being the reason that Kaiser wins the Intercontinental Championship?
Thank you.
Know,
Sarah, you're getting it exactly.
Yeah, so I feel like that works. Like, that works a lot better.
Like bread and butter, Sarah. Yeah, like bread and butter.
It's definitely possible that this is going to happen in the future. I just don't think it's going to happen, like you said, as soon as people think, where it's like, oh, that's the next thing that is going to happen. No, I think that we're either going to see I think this might be the reverse psychology thing that we've seen from Gunther before. As I said, we could also see that maybe if Kaiser eventually wins the Intercontinental Championship, them butting heads as champions or something and thinking they're too good for the other or whatever, that could be kind of like what the tipping point is for them to eventually break up. But I don't think that that's going to be something. I also just don't feel like it's necessary. I get why people want to see Kaiser versus Gunther, but I don't think that we necessarily need to see it, you know?
Not right now.
And before we get to comments, I want to make sure we talk about this too, because I'm sure most people aren't really saying anything. Is anything positive?
You think that was what he was teasing?
I think it. Okay, so anyway, hold on, we'll see. So I'm not saying I believe this. I'm just saying this is what people are talking about. We've already talked about. What are you doing?
Peekaboo. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Okay. Sorry. Continue.
Okay, so people are talking about Gunther seemingly teasing a future storyline with CM Punk simply because when he was talking to Kaiser and he said, "Look in my eyes, what do you see?" And then Kaiser said, "The cult of personality," and it was like, "Oh,
verbatim,
no,
yes, he did.
Yeah, but no, Gunther really did say, "Look in my eyes, what do you see?" And of course, when you hear those words, you think of CM Punk because of his theme song. Then people were automatically jumping on this and being like, okay, did he just like confirm what he's going to be doing after whatever he's doing with Damian Priest? It's possible because as we know, before the or after the strap match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, CM Punk came out and was like riding on his high horse, being like, ha ha ha, I just beat him in a strap match. Now I'm going on to Gunther. Before McIntyre was like, I don't think so, dummy. And so that was when he pivoted back to obviously what we got, which is my match of the year, the Hell in a Cell between Punk and McIntyre. So Punk already teased that he had his eyes on Gunther before he's been on this hiatus. So I think then hearing Gunther say something like this, it's like, was that a hint? Was it just a coincidence? Was it, like you like to say, a red herring? Was it like, what was it? What do you think?
I don't think he meant to do it on purpose. I don't think he meant to do it.
It's also just a saying when you're like talking to someone in a serious way.
It's very,
you know what I mean?
It's a very old school saying,
Mm-hmm.
and Gunther is a very old school wrestler. Like, he's just matter of fact. So I don't see it being a tease in that way. Probably going to end up being wrong.
So how would you feel if it was a tease?
Well done. No, that's a very good tease and a very good way to plant the seeds for it. And if it ends up being a feud and match that we're going to see, I'm for it. I think it's gonna be a very good match as long as one person wins and the other one doesn't. But it will be correct.
Okay.
No, I love CM Punk, not that much.
Yeah.
I really want to see Gunther go over, like, beat these guys to establish himself because he deserves it. Like, we need a beast like that in the WWE. So I'm for it. I don't think it's going to happen, but watch it happen. Watch me just get slapped right across the face.
I think the timing is the most interesting part because there is no timetable according to the dirt sheets of when Punk is going to come back. The most obvious is the Netflix debut. And if he's not back consistently after that, you assume the Royal Rumble, right? So the fact that this could be happening around the Rumble, before the Rumble, like, that is what makes it really interesting because we know that Punk wants to main event a WrestleMania, and the easiest way to do that is to win the Royal Rumble. I don't think that he needs to win the Royal Rumble. We've said this last year or this past year also because hello, it's CM Punk. Like, he doesn't need the Royal Rumble to put him in the main event. But it's interesting because if he's gonna go, like, let's say even he has a match with Gunther at the Royal Rumble for the title. That is interesting timing because then that takes him out of the Royal Rumble and then puts his match at Mania into question. And then it's like, okay, what is he doing? It also is interesting because we can talk about this maybe on Thursday, but I think since people want Gunther versus John Cena at WrestleMania, I think Gunther needs to win. Gunther can't beat John Cena. He has to beat John Cena, in my opinion.
But what about the breaking the record, Sarah?
He can do that, but he doesn't need to do it at Mania. I don't want Gunther to have a losing record at Mania, bro. Are you kidding? He cannot lose the Intercontinental Championship at Mania and then the following year lose the World Heavyweight title at Mania. Hell no. Hell no. No. John Cena will be fine. How many championships has he won at Mania? How many times has he won at Mania? How many times has he main evented at WrestleMania? Stop. John Cena is going to win the 17th title in my book, but I don't think that he would do it at Mania. And the reason I think that is because of John Cena. John Cena is not The Rock. John Cena's not going to want to take the title off of a guy like Gunther at Mania, in my opinion. I don't see that happening. John Cena knows that he's accomplished everything that he possibly could in WWE besides becoming like, the winningest champion of all time.
Or Grand Slam. John Cena's never been a Grand Slam champion.
I don't think, do we care?
Like a little part of me does.
Not really, because no one even knew what the hell a Grand Slam champion was until WWE decided to make it into a thing that somehow was important.
They didn't know ball.
But also, let's be real. John Cena is not a Grand Slam champion. The Miz is a 2-time Grand Slam champion. What does that tell you? Stop it. All
right. Okay.
I'm just saying. I have to get in close because I can't see because I'm blind.
Why blind?
I don't hate this idea. I just wish that it wouldn't go down the same way. You know what I mean? That's the thing. I think that Trick and Mello individually needed it to go down that way. And honestly, I don't even know how much they each benefited from it. Besides, I think Mello turning heel benefited from it far more than Trick did, because Trick had like a very underwhelming title reign right after that.
Oh, no, he's having a very good one right now.
He now is, but I'm saying the immediate payoff from their match was not great, is what I'm saying. And so I don't know that they're in this. I don't think that Gunther and Kaiser are in that same situation, is all I mean. But you know what? I understand. Okay, just let me live in my dreamland. Okay, I just don't want to. I don't want Kaiser and Gunther to be feuding. I don't want it.
Exactly. But
absolutely not. No. I'm sorry. It's just not happening.
No. Sir. No, sir.
Yeah. This might happen at some point, but I don't think we're there yet.
Not soon.
Yeah, not yet.
Not soon.
Not at this point.
Not soon.
CM Punk is way more better than Gunther.
All right, let's get some English down.
Stop it right now.
Okay.
They're just different. I don't know if we can. Cena does the job. Cena puts people over. That's what he does.
Dude, he lost.
I'm sorry to the bad guy, because formerly known as
the final
boss. I'm sorry for what I said about The Rock. Anyway, so we saw Braun Breaker finally, because I don't know if you guys, but it's been kind of easy to forget that he is the Intercontinental Champion again, because the 2-hour Raw does not allow us to see him every single week. I also just saw that video of him impersonating Kaiser, which is crazy, but did you see that promo?
No, I haven't.
Of him being like, I demand your gratitude. Braun Breaker is talking like that.
Oh my God. I love Braun Breaker.
So he had a Intercontinental Championship match with Sheamus, obviously, because Sheamus became the #1 contender. And Braun Breaker does retain, but my boy Ludwig gets in the middle of it. Thank God. Okay, thank God. Because as we know, or the rumor was, sorry, I'm very uncomfortable. And my chair is like, oh!
Look at what you did.
I'm so sorry. My chair is like at that point where it's like stuck instead of like letting you kind of like maneuver it backwards. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Anyway, so Kaiser was the one that was rumored to be like a favorite for the Intercontinental title before he got injured. So that's why I kind of like that he's getting super involved. Also love the idea of this potentially being a triple threat. I know that people don't like triple threat title matches, but I feel like there is just so many talented dudes that are in the mid card that should be going for the IC title right now that like I want to see these matches as much as possible. So if you're going to put Braun Breaker versus Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser, give it to me. That's what I want.
Basically, I'm okay with it. I have no further thoughts about it because that match is going to be a banger.
I mean, and I don't know if that's what it's going to be. I'm just saying if that is an idea, then I'm all for it because those guys can all deliver. But I have seen the aggregator accounts, and then of course people pick up on it, the idea of Braun Breaker versus Sheamus for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 41. I don't hate that idea. We've even talked about that and floated that idea. If John Cena isn't in that title picture at that point to become the Grand Slam champion, I don't hate it. I think I would be curious to see how we would get back there because we just saw them. Obviously, they're doing this match now. So it's like, how do you get back to that point where it makes sense and doesn't feel like you're digging up an old feud just to like put it on at Mania, you know?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be mad about it because that would be that would make Sheamus a Grand Slam champion also. And that would be a lengthy title run for Braun Breaker, which I think that he would deserve. I mean, that's like 5 months from now. So that would make him a champion for like 6 months, which I don't love.
No, I like it.
I don't love the hot potato-ness of the Intercontinental title, but 5 months from now, I don't think it's going to feel the same as it did this past year with it going from Gunther to Sammy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not 5 months is not hot potato.
No,
6 months, I mean, whatever it is, it's not a hot potato. So
I'd be into it. But I also, again, obviously Kaiser is getting involved for a reason. And I don't know that they would put him against Braun Breaker unless Sheamus is involved in the match because they tend to not do two heels against each other. And even though Braun could definitely bring in the babyface love because he was getting love even when he was going against Jey Uso. That's not going to be the case if you put Kaiser against him. Like I don't know. I think Braun Breaker is too good at being a heel that we shouldn't be testing him as a babyface.
Shouldn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Are there any interesting comments? I just want to make sure that because we're getting so many today, I'm like trying to make sure that we get to them. I don't believe this. I do not believe this at all. Good. I do not believe this at all, Richard. The allegation is that Vinci flirted with Tiffany Stratton. I do not believe that for a single second. He also mentioned Vinci in his like post-show promo, saying that he was like carrying dead weight in a tag team and whatever. To me, if he was having like legit heat with Vinci, I don't think he would say that. Nor do I believe that Vinci flirted with Tiffany Stratton. Like, I don't believe that. I don't think that they would punish him for something like that. Like, that's ridiculous. Because there's going to be drama all the time. And let's say that there is some sort of credibility to these rumors going around and Vinci really did get inappropriate with Tiffany. I think it would be pretty ridiculous for Triple H to do anything about that. Like, to choose Kaiser over Vinci, first of all, is weird because like neither one of them were anything at the time of when they broke up, right? And then also they did a lot for Vinci in his re-debut on SmackDown, and even though nothing has happened really since then, that doesn't seem like a guy they're punishing.
No, it doesn't. It just seems like a guy they don't have anything for.
Yeah, I think it's more so of like they believe more in Kaiser than they do Vinci, and they just wanted a way to get them to break up. Exactly. I don't love it, but yeah. That is all I've heard. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's possible. I mean, I don't know that it would really come down between Gunther and Vinci. I really think it would be Vinci versus Kaiser, and he just sees more in Kaiser. Because Kaiser is, I don't think Vinci's bad on the mic, but I think Kaiser's ahead of him in that regard. So if you're trying to like mold the next guy a lot quicker, then you would pick Kaiser over Vinci. You think?
Yeah, Kaiser's got it. Like Vinci is it just hasn't been given the opportunity.
Yes.
Where Kaiser he has, and you see it, and you want to hate him. He has a great sense to be a heel more than Vinci.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not true, Kerwin. There's just no way. I'm sorry, but this seems like such an internet rumor. Like, this has been going on for months that Vinci flirted with Tiffany Stratton, and that was why they got him beat up on Raw by Kaiser and moved him to SmackDown. That is not it's not real. That is not real. I'm sorry. We also have to look in the past. Edge cheated with Lita, and they made it into one of the biggest storylines in the biggest like part of Edge's career as the rated R superstar. They didn't punish Matt Hardy. They didn't punish Edge or Lita. I mean, they punished Lita, but that's because Vince is disgusting. But you know,
They
anyway.
released Matt Hardy.
Well, eventually, but I mean, they still had this long. They made it into a storyline, is what I'm saying. And they also embarrassed Lita, but they didn't. They still had these big matches in this like iconic feud, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I got you.
Very easily could have done something. And why would you punish Matt Hardy for that? That doesn't make any sense. He's the one who got cheated on. But anyway, we did see a tag match because the War Raiders are the number one contenders for the tag team titles. And before that, they had to face off with Carlito and Daddy Dom. And the War Raiders won, but only briefly, because then the tag team champions come out, of course, JD McDaddy and Finn Balor, and they beat them down. So this is like the most invested I've seen people in the Raw tag team titles in a long time. There are people who are sick of the Judgment Day being tag champions, which I think is fair, but I also think we need to stop putting that responsibility on the Judgment Day and blaming them for having a bad title reign, because I don't know if people remember that Finn and JD do not write the scripts. They do not choose who they face. They do not choose how many times they defend their titles. That is not up to them. So if they had a bad title reign, blame it on the writers. It has nothing to do with the Judgment Day, their talent, or anything. But it's interesting to see how many people are jumping on the War Raiders bandwagon because people want to see them as the tag team champions. So
I want to see them as tag team champions. Have you seen them in the ring? They're incredible.
Of course.
Those men should not be moving the way they do. The fact that the War Machine being their finisher with Ivar, it's Ivar, doing a springboard clothesline, like, and they execute it to perfection. I don't understand it. You have to give these guys the tag team belts so that they can start elevating this division. They can do it.
One of the best things I think about the War Raiders, and we've talked about it even with like, you know, I mean, Kevin Owens is not as big as them, but he is a bigger dude, or had been a bigger dude. But the War Raiders can hang with dudes of any size, and it's not an obvious issue, you know, because the immediate problem that you have when you think about big guys versus little guys, Big Show versus Rey Mysterio, that's not real. You know what I mean?
No,
there's in no world that Rey Mysterio would be able to beat the Big Show. Okay, we know that. But in wrestling world, they want you to believe that. Yeah, so when you have a tag team of two dudes like Ivar and Eric, then you're like, yeah, okay, they look like big dudes. However, they put on killer matches with anybody. Like, it doesn't matter if it was Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee, two of the smaller dudes on the roster. It's going to be a killer match. You're not even going to be focusing on the fact that they have 100 or 150 pounds on each of their opponents. They could do a great match if, you know, with any of the tag teams on SmackDown, if they got the opportunity. Like, imagine Street Profits versus War Raiders.
That match would go so hard.
Yeah, I mean, even Judgment Day versus War Raiders is going to be a banger. Like, I know that people don't want to give credit to JD or Finn, but they're incredible in the ring. They're both really good. And then going against the War Raiders, who are also really good, it's going to be a really good match. So I think them being the tag team champions isn't going to be a case of, oh yeah, they just put the tag titles on AOP. Of course, no one's going to fucking beat them. You know, like, this isn't that situation, which is exciting, I think.
Very exciting. Very exciting. Cannot wait for this.
Yeah, I'm glad that you understand like what I was trying to get at, because I'm like, usually when they put the title on like some dudes like that, it's like, yeah, they don't want these titles to be lost anytime soon.
Yeah, who can they work with? But
yeah,
no,
and it makes you not want to pay
you.
it makes you not want to pay attention, because you're like, they're already gonna win. We know, you know. Anyway, okay, so moving on to the Wyatt Six, the Final Testament.
Oh, this is incredible.
And the Miz. This is continuing. We can get to the Final Testament and the Miz stuff in a second, but I think a lot of people, despite people finally jumping on with us for Karrion Kross, because I'm definitely seeing a lot more love for Karrion Kross, because it's like, welcome. Again, this is another situation where I want to be like, welcome aboard, guys. Like, we have videos going back like almost 2 years of being like, Karrion Kross is awesome, and no one wanted to believe us. They finally are. But Bo Dallas,
Unbelievable.
I feel like I owe this man an apology, honestly, because I did not think that he was capable of what he's currently doing right now. It's not like, and that's just based off of what we had seen from him. This wasn't even like, I guess capable isn't necessarily the correct word. I didn't know that he had this in him. I didn't know that he could be this good, because he was always kind of like flat to me. Like, even when he was in his black and gold NXT era run, you know, and he was the NXT champion, then we saw Bo leave and that flopped, and then he was doing whatever with whoever
B
on
squad or B team.
Yeah, like all
Mr.
of this
McGillicuddy.
stuff, you didn't think that they were capable, if that's the word I'm going to keep using, of being like this. I mean, it's the same thing when you look at like 3-man bands. Like, did anyone ever think that Jinder Mahal was going to be a WWE champion? Did anyone ever think that Drew McIntyre was going to get jacked up and, you know, add 50 pounds of muscle and then be like the face of a company? Absolutely not. And so I think that Bo Dallas is in that position for me right now, and I feel like I owe him an apology for that, because my God, him as Uncle Howdy, him running the Wyatt Six, I think that it is consistently delivering on a level that I didn't expect. You know, when we talked about the fact that he was willing to take this over and bring his idea and Bray's idea to life after Bray was no longer here, you respected the hell out of him, and you were like, okay, we think that they're going to treat this with the utmost respect, given the situation. But this is still wrestling. This is still WWE, and you can't put too much faith into something, because you get disappointed time and time again. But what they're doing and what they continue to do is so good. And as many people were saying about this video specifically that they showed this week on Raw, Bo is so eerily similar to Bray. It's almost like Bray passed and like became Bo Dallas. Like that. It's like we're seeing a clone of his brother in him, you know?
We really are. Like, it's crazy what we've seen Bo do with this new character. I mean, he really is morphing into Bray. I saw it last night with how he looked and the way he's presenting, and his cadence and how he's delivering the promo itself. And what he's saying too, it's very dark. You know, he really is going all in with it, and it's nice to see it given this much attention and effort, because it's something that if Bray had, it would have obviously got that, and for them to be doing it and even feuding with people like the Final Testament, you know, it's like, how is that going to happen? Well, they're going to make it work using the Miz as a pawn, you know, because his little promo that he cut last night was pretty damn good too.
Well, and I think with Bo, and I've said this, but I think we questioned the decision to greenlight the Wyatt Six because of the heaviness that surrounded the whole idea. And then, of course, like the amount of weight that put on Bo to like carry his brother's legacy and then do it in a way that he wanted it to be, but also respecting what Bray wanted it to be. Like we were a little bit nervous about how that was going to go, and then also how that was going to mentally and emotionally impact Bo, because this isn't just mourning the loss of a wrestling character. This is literally mourning the loss of your brother and the guy that you worked with your entire wrestling career, and then you just came back, and was doing some of the best work of his career, and then this happens, and then it's like, okay, what are you going to do? But I think because they are able to incorporate so much of their real life and what they're going through and their real emotions and their real mental state, that is what is making this so good. And why it's captivating people, because it's not just like relatable, as we've said, like the things that they're saying, even if you don't understand half of what he's saying,
I don't
get the emotion and you understand the situation that he's in, so you can kind of tap into like different feelings that you might have, and then it can be relatable in that way. And so I feel like this is one of those unique situations in a scripted program that goes beyond that and allows the fans to actually like get more invested in something than there's just like a surface level story or feud or whatever.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
No, I do. There's way more to it than just what's going on in the ring. There's a more psychological element to it, which that's
Yeah.
what wrestling fans are craving now in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So I do
And it
like
works also for the other members of the Wyatt Six. Like it's not the
absolutely.
same level, of course, because we're not talking about all of them, losing a brother or something. But the way that they've put it together about being like the misfits or people that gave up on them or they felt alone or they didn't know where their life was going, it's like that is all relatable, and it makes this whole group make sense. And that's why it's like people want to see what they're going to do next. And so they're going about it exactly how we were hoping, where they're not overdoing it, and we're seeing just enough of the Wyatt Six to still want to see more.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, I gotta zoom in because I can't see. Let's see. Could you see heel Tiffany joining Kaiser someday? I don't know. First of all, they'd have to be on the same show. Secondly, I am not a fan of always making real life couples into a thing on screen. I don't love that, because I also know that they don't love it. Like if you ask Becky Lynch,
No, they
for
don't like
instance,
it. You don't want to work with your partner
yeah,
24/7.
she hated the way that they went about presenting her and Seth, because they kind of outed them as a couple, and that wasn't something that they had like publicly acknowledged. And then just like how they went about it was weird. They didn't like it. So it's not just that, but I also think that's just not necessary, because a bunch of them are going to be dating. You know what I mean? Like you date people at work when you're on the road or whatever.
Yes, you do.
So
You date people at work. And
yeah,
sometimes how you find some
yeah.
people. Yeah.
So
All been there.
yeah.
So
I'm trying to see. Hello. Oh, hey, excuse me. Wait a second, sir. Wait.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You. So
Yeah.
I am obsessed with you, Tama. So
That's so funny.
welcome.
That's
Welcome.
wicked
Please
funny.
come in here every time we stream and just say that. Just
Just
come in and just
that.
say yeah. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Love it.
Yeah. So You want to see Bo Dallas promo in the ring. That would be fantastic. It would be great to see Bo because Uncle Howdy is great too. He's really good at playing both parts, but there's just something that's more intriguing to me about Bo Dallas than Uncle Howdy. You know?
Yeah.
What? Why do I sound robotic? Big Boss? I sound robotic. How do I sound robotic? You are the first person to tell me that you don't like my voice. Most people have told me that they really like my voice, and I don't know why.
I'm one of those people.
Do I sound robotic?
Not robotic. I wouldn't say that.
What would you say?
Not robotic.
Okay.
Not how I would describe it. I don't know how I would describe it.
I'm
but
like,
it's not robotic.
I don't feel like I sound like a robot.
No, you're not robot. No.
Okay. I'm like, you sounded like you wanted to say that I kind of do, but whatever.
No, I just robotic. What is it? There's a way to describe your voice, but I just don't know what it is. And it's not robotic because when I hear robotic, I feel like AI, like the YouTube, like if you take like there's I forget what it is.
I'm not like Siri. I sound robotic? How do I sound robotic? So. This is news to me.
This is news to me.
How do I sound robotic? What do I say? What?
I don't
Vinny
know.
says I sound angelic. So you know what?
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna take that because I don't think I sound like a robot. Whatever. I can make big money then. You know, maybe I'm in the wrong industry.
Maybe you are.
Anyway, okay, let's get to the main event, which was Bronson Reed versus Seth Rollins, the much anticipated rematch between these two. And this was what everybody was talking about, of course, because of the spoilers. And then we saw what happened, and you'll talk about the end because you want to talk about where they cut it off. But the main thing from this, other than Bronson winning via disqualification, interference, whatever you want to say, which I'm not going to count because I do think that Bronson needs to win a match between the two of them, but like in a fair way, not in this way. The main talking point that everyone's freaking out about is looking like Bronson Reed is officially the 5th member of the Bloodline 2.0, but they still have not made it official, so it's still not.
They did.
They did make it official?
Yeah, on SmackDown.
But is it on the poster?
No, it was said by Solo, by the Tribal Chief himself.
Until I see it on a poster, I'm not believing it. That's how I think. Okay. But Sammy, Jay, and Jimmy came out at the beginning to kind of like even the score between Seth, because the Bloodline 2.0 came out there. And I'm sorry, Solo is hilarious. Some of his facial expressions and the things that he does is just like so weird, but he's hilarious. And of course, we love Tama Tonga. Shout out Tama Tonga if you're still in here. Love you. And so they made it seem like, okay, even though Seth said earlier in the night, there is nothing you could say to me that will ever get me to work with Roman Reigns, the dictator, ever again. Like, it pains me to say that, and I don't like the idea of it, but he doubled down, like, I will not work with Roman Reigns. And apparently Jay, Sammy, and Jimmy did not take the hint because they came out to try and help him. And that is what got people worked up, including myself, because I really do not want Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed to be the 5th man. But what say you?
I do not mind Bronson Reed being the 5th man. I care more about who is going to be the 5th man for the OG bloodline. And I really, really hope and pray that we do not get Seth as that 5th member, because it would really throw out a lot of history that we've already made at WrestleMania, throughout the whole era of the Tribal Chief, even before that, during the Shield. We would throw all that away if they did have Seth team with them, unless it was a backhanded move, kind of like, you know, relating it to AEW when Pac joined, you know, Claudio and whatnot for their version of a War Games match called Blood and Guts, and him turning on them right away, you know, and so if Seth does join and then he just uses that time to attack Roman, then okay, I understand it, even though I don't like it. But but the ending of the match is what I wanted to talk about.
Can I just pause for 1 second? I just have one thing to say. I'm with you on that, but I also feel like they shouldn't tease anything about Seth versus Roman because that screams Mania to me. So it's like I think, and I don't think that that's going to be a Mania match at 41, but I feel like that's another match that has too much history that shouldn't be anywhere but Mania. You know what I mean? Just because there's so much that they could use to build that match up. It's similar to how I feel about Randy versus Cody. Like there isn't, I mean, I guess if they're going to try and treat SummerSlam as like the secondary Mania, then that could work. But still, I feel like it would be too early for them to tease anything between Seth and Roman. But anyway, go ahead.
So then the last segment of the show, last shot of the show is Solo and Bronson Reed standing over Seth. Now, the spoilers that I saw were the Usos coming up to Seth, or the Usos and Sammy coming out to the ring in Seth's aid. That was what I saw last night, or not last night, last week. And last night they cut the broadcast off before that happened. So that to me, it felt like it was a little treat for the live fans, you know, the people who stayed through 2 tapings, so that you got them to come out, and maybe it was them to set up the shenanigans that usually happen after shows, like you know, with Austin drinking beer and trying to get Lillian Garcia to drink beer as well. You know, stuff like that. And
or
if
when
that's the
Jay
case,
threw out shoes at our Raw.
oh yeah, you throw out the shoes. Yes,
Yeah.
I do remember that. So, you know, it's stuff like that that you can't take into consideration when you're trying to piece things together for why this War Games match makes sense or doesn't make sense. And it also gives us hope that, you know, Cody will eventually be, you know, the 5th member. However, with what's going on with KO, I don't see that happening, and it intrigues me more of what they're going to do, especially with the whole wise man thing and the whole phone switching conspiracy, which we can talk about on the Thursday show.
Yeah. And my problem is too, like, because I don't want to see it be Bronson and Seth. Like, I'm just not interested in that at all. And I also feel like you were saying that it undoes like too much story for Seth to just put everything aside and all of a sudden like be okay with Roman, because people are saying, well, Cody did it. Why can't Seth? It's like, it's so much deeper with Seth though, because Seth was in the Shield with Roman. Like, they're brothers. Cody and Roman, their beef is not that deep. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, Cody wanted to beat you for the title, and then like the bloodline stuff, yeah, you like were tormenting him for a year or two, but like it's not the same as we literally came into this together. We were a group. We've been through all of this. Like,
it's family.
That yeah, it's too much, I feel, for Seth to just be like, oh yeah, it's fine, I'll put it aside for tonight. Like, no, that doesn't feel okay in the same way of Cody doing it for a tag match with Roman. Like, it's not the same. I think this would be a bigger mistake. But then there's also like, okay, if it is Bronson Reed on Team Bloodline 2.0, who would be on Team Bloodline if it's not Seth? That's where it's like, okay, if it's not Seth and they're really going forward with it being Cody versus Kevin, then who would that be? I see people saying it's Punk, but I don't think it's going to be Punk. Punk is on hiatus because he was in a Hell in a Cell match. There's just no way he would then come back and be in a War Games match, in my opinion.
I could see Punk. I could see Punk.
Just because he would want to recreate what he did last year at Survivor Series. But I still want it to be Cody Rhodes. And this is the thing, the 5th member can't be, I mean, I guess if it's The Rock, then The Rock has to turn on him, I guess, but I don't know. And yes, the Celtics are playing right now, by the way. And why do you think that Cody versus Randy is never happening? Why?
I don't know.
I don't get why.
I don't know why they would think that. It's very much in the cards.
DS is very much like it's Seth Rollins. But it's not the same. Again, Jay is cousins with him. They grew up together. It's a little bit different in my opinion. Why? Big Boss, why are you such a hater?
Was about the robotic voice?
Yes, he's the one who said that, and now he's saying that we're boring. We need a third person.
We need a third person. Well, we need
That's
an
what he
intern.
said. We need a third person in this live stream.
All I'm saying is I've been trying to find us an intern or a producer or whatnot to help us out, and
What
that
is
would
happening? I don't understand. I do not sound like a robot.
This is unbelievable criticism thrown on right now.
I don't sound like a robot. I've never heard a robot have like.
You want to hear what a robot sounds like? Turn on the news. I have seen my friends who have gone into reporting and whatnot, and their voices have changed so much.
Yeah,
it's insane. You want to hear robotic? That's robotic. It's insane. I had one friend who legitimately, she had the sweetest voice, and now her voice sounds so news generated. It's insane.
Yeah, I know. It really does impact them.
What
did Heyman say to Punk?
Oh God, fuck.
I don't remember. Tell us, Jackson.
I think he said something along the lines of, "I wouldn't come after Roman Reigns because of you" or something. I do remember that. There's something to do.
Trolling is not that great, actually.
I could care less about trolling because I
don't care as long as it doesn't like cross a line, but it's more so just gets annoying. That's all. Because we're just trying to have like decent conversation. So
we got some iron
trolling gets in the way.
We have some Iron Survivor challenges happening over on NXT right now. I just played the bad gal before hopping into this stream. And Sarah, let me tell you, I'll give more of an update on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
But you have pinned Charlotte Flair now twice.
That's right.
You have teamed with Trish Stratus, and you guys even recorded a pilot for a TV show together. I'll send you the clips. And you're now actually, I'm done with your story for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Kind of pissed because now I have to go and hang out with Psycho Sally and The Miz and Gigi Dolan for a gaming channel. So that'll be fun. Said that Punk is off limits or something like that because Punk is his best friend.
Interesting. I mean, he kind of did say
take me with you.
Yeah, but Paul also said that he wouldn't work with anybody ever again other than Roman. So that's the thing. And we did skip SmackDown because there was stuff going on this weekend. Unfortunately, we couldn't stream on Saturday.
We had a personal
there was
thing to attend to.
Rock as the fifth man can work. He comes in the match last, turns on Roman right away, and the Bloodline 2.0 beats the OG Bloodline. His OG movie Bloodline just have to win. His movie just wait, who? OG Bloodline?
No, Bloodline 2.0.
Oh, yeah. Rock's movie just bombed, so he's coming back. We know that. I do think that if he comes in, it's going to be similar to Randy Orton, except they'll keep it under wraps more than they did for Randy. Obviously, he'll be the last guy out there, but no one's going to know. It's going to be like, oh, the fifth guy will show up, maybe. And I think that he will not really do too much physical stuff because he can't risk it. Like if he's going to be working on new movies or whatever, he can't risk it. So I think that he would maybe just set something up. Maybe he'll punch him, slap him, something, and then that sets up the attack on him or something.
Vinny, Sarah is a wrestler on the gaming channel of Down Down Up Up. That's the name of the channel that Psycho Sally is working with. Down Down Up Up. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad, but it's so funny. That's all we got for you guys. Thank you all for tuning in to this edition of the Raw Rewind. We'll be back on Thursday for the Super Show. where we talk not only WWE, but all things wrestling. So be on the lookout for that. And the way you know when it's time to tune in is hitting that subscribe button and bell notification to know every time we go live and post a new video. Follow us on all social media platforms that are in the description below. Links are in there. And we've already got some people follow me. I got some random people follow me that I've seen in this chat. So I want to keep that number growing and keep the numbers of this channel growing because we're over 2,100 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the number exactly off the top of my head when I was I forgot to look when I was at the channel today. So keep growing that and help us get there. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless them, but you can do it. All you gotta do is try. See you Thursday. Yes.